On today's question of faith, how do Christians of different denominations work better together? Hey everybody, this is Question of Faith. I am Deacon Mike Hayes. I'm the Young Adult Ministry Director here in the Diocese of Cleveland.
And I'm Father Damian Ferentz, the Vicar for Evangelization.
And I'm Dr. Megan Lowe's-Bolin.
Hey.
Hello.
Back again.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We were all together at the Fest this weekend. If you went to the Fest, hope you had a good time.
Yeah, the best weather we've had since pre-COVID, and I think the biggest crowd since pre-COVID too.
That's what they were saying. Yeah, it was kind of weird because I was there really early setting up, and through 1 or 2 o'clock, I was looking around, and it wasn't really crowded. But the crowd builds as the day goes on, especially as some of the larger bands start to make their way through. And then when I came back from after leading the Exalt at 3 o'clock, I could barely get to our tent. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I got to step over 5 people here. Let me get into the tent here.
It was hot, too.
It was. Oh, man, it was hot. You're not kidding.
But at least there's no rain.
Yeah. What about you, Megan? Did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah, it was great. I mean, great event, lots of people. And like you said, Deacon Mike, I mean, it didn't seem too crowded at first, but then once 4 or 5 o'clock hit, it's like, where did all these people come from?
Yeah. You sold a bunch of books at your tent, huh?
I did. I did.
Tent.
Did you have your own tent?
I did.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We used to say when you and I both know this, Father D, a good day at like an event for book sales, like 10 books maybe. People just buying them off the thing, And you were like up to 20, when I got over there. I was like, wow, that's a great day.
Yeah, it was great. Got to talk with a lot of folks, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
A lot of fun.
And you also had a young adult gathering with the bishop.
Yeah.
And so talk about that a little bit.
Dr. Megan organized.
Yeah, so it was great. So a few weeks ago, a few of the Fest team members reached out to me and said, hey, we'd be interested in having a young adult event at the Fest because the Fest has something for everyone except for really young adults. And so we decided, let's do a fun mocktail hour. So worked with a few volunteers, had a team of triplets actually from St. Christopher, Deacon Mike's parish, and they whipped up some pretty good mocktails.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. And so we had about probably 25, 30 young adults come, and so they came to adoration with Deacon Mike beforehand, and then we had a good number of people stay for mocktails with the bishop, and it was a great time.
Were you presiding at an Exalt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
How was that?
Was
that your first time doing that?
Yeah, it was.
As a deacon?
Yes, first time, and first time doing certainly at the Fest, and then I had done Exalt before at a couple other locations, but not here. It was the first time working with Damascus Worship for me, which was really great.
I didn't make sense of your text because you said that was great working with them, but I didn't understand. I don't think you put it in the context of Holy Hour, so that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. They're class act, as I said, yeah.
Yeah, no, they were great. And it was crowded. Like, that was probably, I think that's the most filled I've seen the chapel.
Sacred Heart Chapel.
Yeah, and I came in and processed in, and I turned around, and I was like, whoa. This place got filled.
For those of you who aren't aware, the Sacred Heart Chapel is on the grounds of the Center for Pastoral Leadership, which originally, way back when, was a farm, and then it was run by the Good Shepherd Sisters. It was a home for wayward girls. 1953, we started a high school seminary there. That lasted until 1977, and the chapel where Deacon Mike was presiding is the old high school seminary chapel. It's currently the chapel for All Saints grade school, and over the last few years, while our chapel at the seminary has been renovated, it's also served as the chapel for the seminary's diaconate program, lay ecclesial ministry. But it's a nice little chapel, and I love it. Stained glass windows are from France, and they're very blue and beautiful. But yeah, if you've never been there, it's great.
Yeah.
So
a lot of fun. My formation years spent there, so I prayed in that chapel for a long time throughout the formation year. And
the bishop is dedicating the new chapel, I think, next week. It's a invite only event because it's a small chapel.
Yes.
But the Resurrection Chapel is now called Mary Mother of the Good Shepherd Chapel. Oh, nice. And there's a new altar, a new ambo, a new altar of repose imported from Italy, all new reredos made from wood from Ohio, dark stained.
Nice.
New paint. It's going to be great. But the bishop has to lather the altar up with chrism oil to dedicate it. And so although liturgy of the hours have been celebrated in there, no mass yet until the bishop consecrates the altar, which
Correct.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, we did evening prayer there the night we found out where we were going to be assigned with Father Mamich, which was very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, the fest has been an event where it gathers a bunch of people who are, Catholic and non-Catholic. There's a lot of evangelical Christians in particular, I think, who will come to listen to all these bands. And so, I'm the new interfaith ecumenical director here at the diocese, and so that's going to be my bag for a while. So I wanted to just say, how have we worked with people who are not Catholic in our career over the many years that we've all been in ministry? What about you, Father D? You want to start?
Well, one of the things you just mentioned was music, and music has a great way of bringing Christians together of different denominations. So the fest has been around for 24 years now, and I think the only main stage artist with a great following is probably Matt Maher, who's Catholic.
He is.
The others are obviously they're friendly to Catholicism because they come out and play at the fest. But you're right. Most folks who are coming to see these bands, they may be Catholic, but many are just Christians who want to see these bands. And so I think part of Father Steck's vision was, look, let's at least share what we share in common and celebrate the fact that we believe in one God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We believe that Jesus Christ is our Savior. He's the one who offers us salvation. And then obviously there are other differences that we have. But if we could celebrate our belief in the mystery of the Holy Trinity and the Incarnation, we're getting somewhere. That's really good.
Absolutely.
And I have found, I actually wrote a piece on it once, and I gave a paper down at a conference at Walsh University, and it was on Jackie Robinson, what Jackie Robinson did for baseball can apply to what music can do for ecumenism.
Oh, very nice.
And I talked about even somebody like a Matt Maher who will take an ancient hymn and then put a new spin on it where it still holds the tradition but then has access for people in 2024. And I think, too, even doing praise and worship with other Christians is a nice way to celebrate our faith together. Yeah, in a way that brings unity and not division. So I would say music has been a very big part for me.
Yeah, that's great. For me, I was going to say, service has been one way, and then when I was in the State University of New York at Buffalo as the campus minister, we had a campus ministry association that was made up of all the denominations. And when we would gather every month for our meeting, we would start meeting with prayer, and they would say, "And now we'll pray together in a moment of silence." And this way, we didn't get into any interfaith differences with people.
Hail Mary.
And exactly, in the name of the Father. And we said, and so somebody brought up, "Hey, why do we do that? Why do we just pray with a moment of silence?" So someone explained, well, so we don't get any differences and we don't offend somebody or whatever. And we're not just praying from our tradition, but together we're, this is how we can do this. And the guy who ran Hillel, which was the Jewish student association, said, why wouldn't we just let someone pray in their own way? And we witnessed that. And he said, because I'm interested in other people's prayers. And I was like, that is right on the mark. Like, I would really be interested in doing that. We did it for a little while. Some people didn't like it, and some people loved it. Right? It was sort of in the middle. But we were always able to get together around some kind of common service element, whether it was a hunger program or an event for children. We did a lot with human trafficking. It was really a lot of fun to be able to do that, to see that we have similar interests and that. Together we want to care for people in the best way we can. Dr. Megan, how about you?
I would say community. So like Father mentioned, the fest is a wonderful example because you literally have thousands of people coming together to just worship our Lord, whether they are Catholic or Christian, which is beautiful. And of course, the fest has grown quite a bit over the last 24 years. But even just with starting my being involved in ministry, the fest was literally my first job out of college. I had the opportunity to intern, which was wonderful. And then I worked at St. Ambrose with Father Bob, and one of the things he had me do was actually go to monthly meetings with other faith leaders in the city of Brunswick. And so it was the Brunswick Ministerial Association. So every month we would break bread together, and you would have pastors and ministers just talking about their faith and just how their worship is different but also the same. And to just throw in another quick example, I mean, John Carroll University, where I work, we have a Catholic Studies chair, we have a Jewish Studies chair, as well as an Islam Studies chair, and it's so wonderful because over the last few years, those three men have been coming together and just really fostering more conversations and more celebrating our similarities, but also just acknowledging some of the differences in our faith, but just really looking at it as a teaching moment.
Yeah. Dr. Zizzi, who does a lot of stuff with us, I believe he's the Muslim chair there,
That's
correct?
Yes.
We're getting ready to kind of do a little symposia. We usually do 2 of these a year where we talk about a question. So we're all talking about what question we'll explore this year as a faith community. And then we set up like an interfaith panel to talk on these things. So it'll be nice.
I was part of an interfaith panel maybe 12 years ago. It was after I came back from CUA, and I was on with a rabbi and an imam and a priest. Sounds like a joke. But to your point, Deacon Mike, making the distinctions and not only celebrating what we have in common, but also pointing out what makes us different is a sign of respect to others.
Yes.
So like with my Jewish rabbi friend and my imam friend, I said, what we share in common is belief in one God. What makes us different is we believe in the Holy Trinity. So not only that God loves, but that God is love, a communion of persons. And although this is blasphemous to my Jewish brothers and sisters and Muslim brothers and sisters, we believe that God took on flesh, and that makes Christians unique. And they granted, yeah, that's what you believe and we don't agree with. But to say that is helpful. And I bring that up sometimes when I'm preaching, what we have in common, and then also what makes us different. And then the people, I never thought of that. Well, okay, these are really important things. So it's important when you make distinctions to say what we hold in common and then what makes us different. And then you can dive deeper into the topics there. It's clarity is charity. So
Yeah. I used to say all the time that when I was at Canisius, which is a Catholic school, Jesuit school in Buffalo, they would always say, well, we have to be ministers for all of our students, not just our Catholic students. And I would say, yes, that's true. I said, however, we're a Catholic school, and so we can't dive too far on the other side. We have to maintain our tradition here. We have to maintain we can't do everything interfaith. We have to do things that are distinctively Catholic, and we have to do those all the time, and we have to do them well. I said, and now we have to do this extra piece, which is an interfaith piece, to serve the needs of those who are not Catholic in some way. And to show respect to them, and they should be doing the same for us. They should want us to do more Catholic things, more identifiable Catholic things.
Sister Mary Jean, who is the parish life coordinator over at St. Aloysius, hosts our Tole Lege group for the last 2 weeks of June every year, and she tells our young people that I think it's every student. I don't know if they have any Catholic students in the grade school. But all those students come to Mass once a week, and they also learn all the Catholic prayers, and they're learning Catholic theology because we're a Catholic school, and that's what we do. But we're also not proselytizing, we're evangelizing. But if you're coming to this school, you're going to learn our tradition. And then over time, some families do wind up joining.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's the both and, once again. It's our recurring theme of this show.
Yeah, the National Eucharistic Congress, Gloria Purvis, talked about growing up as a non-Catholic and going to a Catholic school and being inspired by the people who taught her and being inspired by the Eucharist when she was there. And she went home and told her mother, said, I think I'm going to be Catholic. And she said, you want to be Catholic? Okay, you're not going to eat meat on Friday, and you're going to go to Mass every Sunday? And she was like, yes, I am. And she said, okay, you go do that. And she goes, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
It's great.
We should put her talk. I know we may have linked it before, but if you haven't seen it, it's
I'll put
pretty
it back.
wonderful.
Yeah, that was my favorite talk of the whole conference.
That's
actually
what you said. Yeah, I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. I think my favorite, looking back, might have been Sister Josephine's, and that theme where she said, what we often long for is the full taste of heaven. Well, we do long for it. And she said, but the foretaste is what's promised in the Eucharist. And when we do our reflection from the gospel, I'll riff back on that because it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have a favorite moment of the fest this year?
Well, I wasn't expecting you to ask me this question. I'd like to
See?
think more. So,
This is what I
no,
do.
I don't. I don't have a favorite moment. But I guess if you're going to push me, I would say just seeing everybody. I get overwhelmed by those big crowds,
Same.
like especially with small talk. But I had a few good, deep conversations with people I haven't seen in a while, and that was nice.
Yeah. We were saying that last week with the NEC too. Like, the big crowds sometimes are just not our jam, right? Like we're becoming not conference people, and
I never was. That's why I stood there and blew my we had bubbles we were giving away, and I just blew bubbles, and I entered into ecstasy and contemplation.
That's right.
Like, what's that priest doing? Just let him go. Let him go.
Dr. Megan, what about you?
Oh, that's such a trick question. I mean, the whole day is always beautiful. I mean, just the people. I mean, I enjoyed the opportunity to talk with people who came by my booth, but what I also loved just running into people that I have really encountered in various parts of my life, because I like to think that the fest is also Spot the Catholic Day. So I always get to see people that I worked with in ministry throughout the years, as well as parishioners. And I saw quite a few people that I haven't seen probably in about 5, 6, 7 years, and it was just really beautiful moments to share community with them.
Very nice, yeah. And I enjoyed the XLT that I presided at. I really enjoyed, and it was really attentive and vibrant group that was in there, and like I said, Damascus Worship was spot on. They did a really nice job, and then I would say later on, as we prepared for Mass, it was kind of nice just kind of hanging out with the other deacons and catching up with some folks. Willie Yoho and I spent, Deacon Willie Yoho and I spent a couple of minutes together talking about our experience at NEC with one another, and a couple of my classmates were there as well, so that was fun. And Deacon Mark Temecco was the Deacon of the Word at the
Your classmate
Mass.
and mine.
Yeah, yep, you're mine, yes. And he's back at your old high school now. So.
Well, he told me before Mass that we embarrassed him on the last show, so I'd like to do that again now.
Sure.
I don't know how, but maybe just
We'll figure it out.
just mentioning his name is enough.
That's right.
So if you're listening to this and you know Deacon Mark, then let him know that we spoke about him once again on the show and embarrass him. Thank you.
This is good. And so, church, I thought we would go to St. Ambrose. Actually, that's a church I've never been to. Believe it or
Oh.
not.
You need to go. You need to go.
I have to go, yeah. I have not been there. So.
The church that Carlin built.
Yes.
So
That's
Father
right.
Carlin that was his first assignment. He was my pastor at St.
Yeah.
Charles. And during his time there, Father Hilkert was the pastor, and they built a new church.
Huh.
And Father Carlin then after that went to St. Charles and has been there ever since. He's been ordained since 1976, and for 48 years, and he's never had more than 2 assignments. But recently, Father Steck renovated or updated the parish, and
Yes.
New sanctuary, new tile. It's quite beautiful, and it's like a mega parish. There's so much going on there. It makes one dizzy. And there's certain priests who could handle that. Like Father Estock is at St. Albert the Great,
yeah.
Father Ryan Mann at Basel, Father Steck at Ambrose. And there's certain pastors who Father Carlin too at St. Charles. That stuff is not, I'm so grateful that different priests have different gifts and different deacons and different, everybody, let people do what they're great at. But when I look at that place and visit, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, there's so much going
So
on
much.
all the
So
time.
much, yeah.
My friend is a pastor in Toledo at a parish, Corpus Christi, and he said that there were things going on all the time. And I said, Father Jim, do you know what's going on all the time? He goes, no, not in a million years.
I think Father Steck does, though.
Yeah,
Oh, he literally does.
I was just
And
gonna
he's
say that.
involved in it.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. It's incredible. I mean, I was just at the parish yesterday, so at the fest there was several Indian priests and sisters there, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with them yesterday at St. Ambrose. And St. Ambrose has 180 ministries plus going on.
Wow.
They have about 600 children in the school. They usually have about another 800 children in PSR. It's pretty incredible. Like you said, Father, it's like a mega church, but definitely grounded in their faith, which is just so beautiful.
Well, and the reason it works is because it's huge and there's a lot going on, but with all those ministries, you can be part of a small group and feel connected. Mm-hmm. And that's the key with big parishes is you don't want to get lost in the ocean. You want to have a place where where people know you and you know them. And that's hard to do, but Father Stuck does it well. He's a very gifted man.
He is, and he's very good, too, about just empowering people and recognizing what their gifts are and just empowering them to be leaders of those small communities, like you mentioned, Father. So Deacon Mike definitely need to go out to St. Ambrose. It's a wonderful place.
I will make the trip when I am able. And speaking of small groups where people get to meet each other, we have a softball league, and so it's time for this week's softball update. Okay, no games last week because of the fest. We've got some makeup games on the 9th out at St. John Bosco Field. That's Friday, 6:15. The Strongsville Vikings will be taking on Catching Flamingos. Strongsville struggling to get into the playoff hunt. They have to take on the defending champions Catching Flamingos in order to have a possibility of even getting into the playoffs. The top seed Westside Whitecaps, they're cruising right along. Only one loss this year so far. And the Ite Mighty Doves hanging tough, trying to get into the playoffs as well. There is a strong possibility at the end of this weekend that there could be several ties for those last couple of playoff spots. So keep your eyes on that. Out on Sunday at St. John Bosco Field, we have a full slate of games. Catching Flamingos will take on the Parma Peacocks. Parma holding on tight to try to get into that last playoff position. The Westside Whitecaps will take on Chosen Ones in a battle of the top two teams in the league. Young Vitus will take on Big League Chew. Big League Chew firmly in the playoff hunt. Young Vitus struggling to stay above water. The Strongsville Vikings will take on the last place Grapes of Wrath. However, if Strongsville loses on Friday, they very well could finish last if Grapes of Wrath beats them on Sunday. And the Blue Scapulars will play the final game, definitely with playoff implications there, against the Ite Mighty Doves. Hey, looking ahead to the playoffs on the 18th out at Meyer Park in Seven Hills, Ohio. That's a different location than we've usually been at. Meyer Park will host our playoff games where at 12:30 seed number 3 will take on seed number 6. Seed number 4 will take on seed number 5, and then we'll play seed number 2 will get a bye, and then they'll play the winner of that 3-6 game. Seed number 1 will play the winner of the 4-5 game, and of course, the championship game at 6:30. And hey, if you want to come out and watch that week, Veranova Medical will be out there, and they'll be having some free food for us. They'll have some hot dogs and chicken and all kinds of things on the grill for us, as well as some refreshing drinks as well. They had some cookies last year. We'll see if they bring those again this year as well. So thanks to Veranova for that. They'll be out there. Archangel Outfitters, who make our uniforms, they'll be out there selling some of their cool T-shirts, religious and otherwise. So come on out there and support our two sponsors. It'll be great to have them out there. And I'm Deacon Mike Hayes, and this is your softball update. All right, last week of the season, Dr. Megan's on a team.
I am.
What team?
I am the Whitecaps, right?
Yes, the Westside
Whitecaps.
Whitecaps. They're in first place.
I was going to say you either win a lot of games or lose a lot of games because I listen to the updates and.
Yes, so they're in first place for now. They have a makeup game on Friday and then another game on Sunday to close out their regular season.
Okay.
We'll be playing as you heard in the update, we'll be playing our playoff games day out at Meyer Field in Seven Hills.
Oh. Behind Meyer store. Yeah, I remember going there.
Yeah, because St. John Bosco has their parish festival out last weekend.
I see.
We'll be back there for the All-Star
God
game,
bless Father Byrne for letting that be the home of. It's nice to have a Catholic parish that has a nice ball diamond. Let us play there. So
yeah, it's been so great this year. And Alan Hodge, who's the maintenance guy who helps us out there, has been so great this year and given us storage space and all kinds of things. So without him, this couldn't happen. So
that's
thanks.
Great.
All right, readings for this week. I'm preaching this week, actually, at St. Chris.
Bread of Life Discourse. We're still rocking it.
Yeah, exactly. I like the first reading this week from Kings as well, where Elijah continues to be fed by the Lord. And I always think when I read that, I say the Lord will always sustain us. Mm-hmm. The Lord will always sustain us in whatever ways that we need God to sustain us in our lives.
I was thinking about one of the last lines in the gospel about whoever eats this bread will live forever, and how that desire to live forever and for things to last forever is written in our hearts, and it shows up in secular music all the time. Like, hold on to the night, hold on to the memory. Richard Marx, All Night Long, like Buck Cherry's written a song like that. Never Ending or Eternal Flame. Like, is this burning an eternal flame? So, yeah. So many songs are about this desire for a love that endures and lasts forever, which is a desire for God. And Jesus is God, and he gives us that in the Eucharist. Not the, again, to quote Sister Josephine, not the full taste on this side of the veil, but a foretaste.
Very nice.
So I was texting with a friend about this over the weekend. I think there's always, on this side of the veil in our human experience, just a tinge of sadness in our hearts, even if we're like experiencing great joy, because our hearts will not be fully satisfied until we meet God face to face. So there will be foretastes of it for sure. But I think just that tinge of sadness is part of the consequence of the fall and part of the lived experience, and accepting that is all right, I think.
It's sort of the already but not yet.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Dr. Megan, anything stand out to you in the readings?
Yeah, in the gospel, I am the bread of life. And so, I know you both just came back from the Eucharistic Congress, and sadly I wasn't able to make it this year, but just a beautiful reminder that the Eucharist is what breathes us life. And I know as a church, we're really trying to work hard to help people just really help them just better understand, but also embrace that the Eucharist is truly the body of Christ. And so I think just in our ministries, and just as well as we go out and evangelize, is just how do we help people recognize that the Eucharist indeed is life. And so that, of course, is just really trying to find creative ways to help them just to encounter that as well, encounter Jesus, and also just recognize that the Eucharist does give us life. It's not just something a physical motion that we do every Sunday, but rather it's so much deeper, and enter into that with more reverence and prayer.
Yeah. I said at our Exalt, do we believe, or have we had an encounter?
Absolutely.
If we just believe, it doesn't mean we had an encounter. But if we have an encounter, then that helps us believe. Yeah, so it's perfect, right? So we hope that you've had an encounter with us here this week.
Oh, yes. Thanks for having me again.
And we'll be back again next week, and we'll have our softball team, Megan, will be in the playoffs by that time. So
I'm sure we'll still be in first place.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think we will.
Do all the teams make the playoffs, or just the top six or something? Or
the top six, yes. And, so playoffs coming up, and we'll be back again next week here on Question of Faith.